Welcome back, everyone. This is Isaac from 90s Nerd Media. I'm back on the couch with another wrestling review. So today is Friday, March 28th, 2025, and we're going to do a review of Friday Night Smackdown. So Smackdown tonight came to us from London, England, and this was the latest leg on the European tour, so let's get into it. So we start the show off with the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. He comes out, he gets a great ovation from the crowd. They give him a lot of love, and then he gives a promo, and he didn't really say anything new. He kind of went over the same talking points as before. But in the middle of his promo, we had Randy Orton come out and interrupt. So Randy Orton came out and he basically gave Cody a lot of props. He said that Cody has been carrying the company for the past year or so, and that he's the person who's been putting everybody in these seats and selling out these large arenas. And so he was giving Cody a lot of praise. But then he also said that he was coming for that championship belt. And I thought it was interesting because Randy has been kind of lurking underneath John Cena in terms of the legends and like where they rank. And so we know that John Cena had 16 title defenses or title reigns. And then we have Randy Orton, who's right underneath him with 14. So Randy Orton wanted to make it known that, look, like, I support you going after John Cena, but as soon as you retain that title, I want the next shot. And so then, of course, Drew McIntyre, he comes out and he's staying on his point of like nobody deserves what they're asking for except for him, obviously. But he did point out that Randy hadn't really done much to earn a title shot so far. And so him and Randy Orton go back and forth, and this leads to them setting up a one-on-one matchup. But they did get into a little bit of an altercation. It looked like Drew McIntyre may catch an RKO, but he was able to escape before that happened. But yeah, very brief promo to start off the show, which I'm happy about. They didn't go on too long, but it did set up a few interesting developments going forward. So then we have our first match of the night. It's the Street Profits versus Pretty Deadly. And this was the first official title defense for the Street Profits for their tag team championship belts. And I'm not going to lie to y'all, I did not know that Pretty Deadly was from the UK and that they were actually from England. So this was a homecoming from them, because I did find it very weird that the Street Profits didn't get any love until I saw that they were fighting Pretty Deadly, and that Pretty Deadly were like the hometown favorites. So of course they got a lot of the love from the crowd, and the Street Profits pretty much got cricket. So once I heard that part, it made sense. But overall, this was a pretty good start to Raw. Both of these tag teams have been performing well lately, and the Street Profits, of course, they're the champions, so they picked up the win. But I think it was a pretty good match overall. I think Pretty Deadly showed that they're serious contenders, but obviously, the Street Profits are on another level right now, and we could just see like the tag team chemistry that they have. It's going to take a lot to really take the belts off of them, but this was a good start to the show. They got a decently long match. They got some big high spots in. And so this was a good way to start off the show. Okay, so next we get a backstage segment with Chelsea Green and her two bodyguards, who I guess they've dubbed now the Secret Hervis, which is a truly terrible name. I don't know who came up with that, but that name is awful, and I hope it doesn't stick. And I'm sure they could come up with something better. But anyway, they were backstage. They were confronting Zelina Vega, Katana Chance, and Kaden Carter. And basically, this set up a match between Carter and Chance versus the Secret Hervis. I hate saying that name, it's so bad. But the match itself was very good. Katana and Kaden, they don't really get a lot of opportunities on SmackDown, but I think when they do get to wrestle, they show that they deserve to be in the spotlight a little bit more. So I'm happy they get that opportunity. And then Alba Fire and Piper Niven, they've gelled pretty quickly for wrestling as a tag team. I think this is probably only like maybe the second or third match that they wrestled together. But I like this direction. I like the storyline of Chelsea Green having these two bodyguards, and just kind of her being protected. And I like the stable and the group that they form. I just hate the name, but the match itself was pretty good. Piper Niven ended up getting the win for the team after Chelsea Green, kind of distracted the referee. But this was a pretty good match, and I'm glad that Carter and Chance are getting more opportunities, and hopefully they'll be involved a little bit more going forward. So in a bit of a shocker, we had three matches back to back on TV with like very little interruption or promo. So I'm always happy to see that. So the next match we had was another title defense. This time it was LA Knight versus Braun Strowman for the U.S. Heavyweight Championship. And this was a pretty good match too. It got off to a hot start. Braun Strowman, even for like a big man and for a monster, he has a lot of stamina. So I feel like he can put on longer matches that somebody his size you usually wouldn't expect. And him and LA Knight were kind of going back and forth, trading big blows, fighting outside of the ring. They were really getting into a good groove, but unfortunately the match got interrupted by Jacob Fatu, who came out and he attacked Braun Strowman. And even when LA Knight tried to come in and attack Jacob himself, he ended up getting beat up and knocked down, and then Jacob went on a rampage against both of them. And so the crowd, they were very much behind Jacob Fatu. They gave him his own chant, and you can tell like he just has like the sauce right now. The crowd is like firmly behind him, and we see backstage he gets kind of into it with Tama Tonga and Solo Sikoa, and this is leading to like more division between them. And Jacob is basically like, look, I'm out there on my own. I'm gonna do this like whether y'all are with me or against me, but I'm going after that U.S. heavyweight belt. So I think it's interesting that like they're pushing this so fast with Jacob kind of splitting away from the group, but at the same time, you can see that he just has it right now. The crowd is behind him. He has that star quality, and so they're giving him a big push, and you can see that they're kind of pushing him to the next level. So it'll be interesting to see like what their WrestleMania plans for him are, but he definitely is going to have like a big spotlight on him. And so then we have another backstage segment. This time it's Jimmy Uso, and he's giving an interview, and he's talking about the slap that he gave Gunther on Monday Night Raw, which they've dubbed the slap heard across the world. Which honestly, like that was one of the craziest slaps I've seen in wrestling in a long time, and I can't believe that like Gunther didn't retaliate still. So I guess that it was such a big deal. Like now they're kind of using it to build up Jimmy, which I'm not mad at. You can kind of see that he has a lot more confidence on the mic now, and he's kind of like trying to build himself up, not separate from Jay, but he's just trying to like more lean into his own identity. And I think that slap, gave him something where he can like really lean into it and really just have some confidence about himself. And so after his interview, he gets confronted by The Miz and Carmelo, and they're basically talking trash to him and saying like, "Oh, you're just always a sidekick." And so, Jimmy naturally is like, "Well, if you want to talk trash, me and you can go 1-on-1 in the ring to The Miz." So they set that match up for the next match coming out of the commercial. So we also got another like pre-recorded vignette of Naomi, and this was basically her leaning into her heel turn and just kind of addressing the whole thing with Jade Cargill and Bianca, and her saying like, "Look, I've been overlooked and overshadowed, and I'm the person who's been here for like a decade, and I kind of inspired Bianca, and then she just kind of pushed me to the side for Jade when Jade got here, and she just like said that she's not gonna have it anymore." And I really like this direction that they're going with Naomi. I think the look for her with the caution tape looks really great. I like her wearing her hair out with the big curls, and just everything about it I'm here for. I love seeing Naomi get more spotlight and more time to just like develop a new version of herself and a new character. And this is only going to lead to like more opportunities for her. So this was a big hit for me. I'm looking forward to see what Naomi does next and what they do with her for WrestleMania. But I'm definitely loving the new look and attitude from her. So then we jump to the match with Michin and Charlotte Flair. And so Michin's coming out with B-Fab. They're walking to the ring and they get attacked by Naomi. And Naomi really beat down B-Fab, threw her on the announce table, and they had to come out and help her, to the backstage area. And Michin herself, she was beat up. And then we had Jade Cargill come out, and she saw Naomi. She started chasing her, and of course, Naomi ran away. She's not going to give the crowd what they want and fight Jade right now. She's going to like save that for later. And so she runs away. Jade walks back towards the backstage, and Charlotte comes out, and we had just like a little bit of a moment with Jade and Charlotte kind of staring each other down. And anybody who's like been into wrestling for a while know that like this is like a matchup that people want to see. They want to see Jade versus Charlotte. They're two of the biggest and strongest women on the roster, and like just two of the women who are like have like the biggest star power. And so people are kind of looking forward to that, in the future. But we got like a little bit of a stare down moment, and them looking at each other like, yeah, like I see you, like not right now, but eventually. And so then Charlotte comes out, and her and Michin put on one of the best matches of the night. I was a little bit surprised by like how well Michin looked tonight. Not that she's not capable of good matches. I think she's been having a good run of matches lately, and she's been very strong in the ring. But I'm just like surprised by how much she dominated Charlotte Flair, and like that usually doesn't happen, but she was in control for most of the match, and she had Charlotte on the ropes. She had a few times where Charlotte was barely able to kick out, and she just looked really good overall. She was clean, she was crisp, she dominated the match from beginning to end. But unfortunately for her, Charlotte kind of baited her into kicking the steps, and that just set up for Charlotte to go ahead and hit that figure eight and pick up the win. But I do think that Michin, looked very strong tonight, and she showed that she can hang with the big dogs, and not just hang with them, but she can actually, kind of dominate. So I think that's only going to be good for her going forward. But obviously, Charlotte still picked up the win. So we get to another segment backstage with Tiffy, and Tiffy is just kind of calling out Charlotte and like, look, you're the one who has everything to lose. I'm just a rookie, and if I lose to you, you're the legend, so I'm supposed to lose to you. But if you lose to me, you lose to a rookie who you're saying is green and who doesn't really deserve to be here, then that's going to look bad on you. So you're the one with everything to lose. So I thought that was an interesting angle for them to go with Tiffy, and it's just going to kind of just build up more anticipation towards them for WrestleMania. So next we get Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton 1-on-1, which I feel like they've fought like a few times over the years 1-on-1, and it's usually a good match. And tonight's match was decent. They got a little bit of time to work. They had like a commercial segment, but they got two decent segments to wrestle, and obviously they let Drew carry most of the match because not that Randy isn't capable, but it's just like as he's gotten older, he's more on the end where he'll get his run at the end of the match and not really carry it. So they let Drew dominate for most of the match, and then they had Kevin Owens come out and he distracted Randy Orton. Randy Orton caught a Claymore, and Randy Orton, is just kind of furthering that feud between him and Kevin Owens. So he's obviously pissed that Kevin Owens caused him to lose. And then we see backstage, Drew McIntyre. He's all happy. He's confident. He's like, see, I told y'all, like, when people don't mess with me, I handle my business. And he's like, I even called out Damian Priest and he didn't show up. So he's like, look, I'm going out drinking and celebrating tonight. And as soon as he's getting ready to leave, Damian Priest shows up and they just start getting into a fight. And Damian Priest kind of, he starts all beating up Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre then takes control. It looks like Drew's going to slam him through the car, but Damian Priest reverses it and slams Drew through the car window. And so that was kind of a vicious spot. And I like that they're making Damian Priest kind of look like he's more ruthless. You had this attack on Drew, the attack that he did on Gunther. He's been looking like he's not taking any shit from anybody, which I just love for his character. They need to build him up. It was unfortunate that Drew McIntyre called him Timu Undertaker earlier in the night, so he did kind of get his revenge for that. But I do like that they're making Damian Priest look stronger just overall. So we'll see what they do for him and Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania. So the last match of the night was Jimmy Uso versus The Miz. And these are two veterans, so you kind of know what you're going to get from them. They put on a solid match. I don't know if they ever fought one-on-one before, but obviously they're two professionals and they got a decent amount of time to work with. So Jimmy ended up picking up the win. There was no interference, no like funny business happening or anything. Just a solid match from, two veteran wrestlers, and it made Jimmy, kind of continue his momentum. And I just think that's kind of where The Miz is, like right now in his career. Like he's not really looking to get over, like move up into, kind of championship status or anything. So I think he's been like more than willing to put over, even though Jimmy isn't that young, he's still like younger than The Miz. And so The Miz is just kind of in that space where he's kind of happy to put over the other talent and just make them look good. So that's what this match was. Jimmy gained some momentum going into next week against his fight against Gunther. So we'll see if he can keep that up. And so finally, for the last segment of the night, we had the contract signing for the triple threat match at WrestleMania between Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and CM Punk. And so Roman came out first. He got a great ovation from the crowd. And then once he was in the ring, the crowd kept giving him love. They giving him OTC chants. They were singing his name. And you could see that he was really enjoying it. He was basking in it. And I think because Roman's in like this kind of weird space where he's in between, he's not really a heel and he's not really a baby face, but he's getting a lot of love like a baby face. So you can see that he sat down and he just let the crowd serenade him. And this was for him something that he doesn't usually get, like the crowd singing his name. And so he was very much enjoying that. He got Paul Heyman in on it, and he let that go on for a little while. And then Seth Rollins, he came out next, and he always basks in the crowd singing his song. So that's nothing new for him. He's been a babyface for a long time. So you can even tell once he got in the ring, he kind of strutted around and got close to Roman and Paul and like, look, like this is what I do regularly. So he just kind of showed off a little bit for them. And then they went back and forth before CM Punk came out with Seth Rollins basically saying like, look, we have to take down CM Punk. He doesn't deserve to be in this match with us. This should be about me and you. We came into the business together. We have a lot of history together. A lot of the same things that he said last week. And Roman, put him in his place. He's like, look, I'm the person who's taking this business to new heights. I've been the person who's been main eventing for the past like 4 or 5 years and who's, brought all the business with Netflix and the billions of dollars deals that we signed. And so I think it was interesting for them to have Roman point that out. Like, even though you keep trying to stay in the past, I'm the person who's been carrying the company for, the last half a decade or so. And so then CM Punk comes out and he's also getting a lot of adoration from the crowd and he's just like soaking it in for a while. And then he gets in the ring and he's addressing Roman and Seth, and before he even signs the contract, he starts flipping through the pages and it looks like he's looking for something specific. And so then CM Punk comes out and he also gets a lot of adoration from the crowd, and he's soaking it in. And then he gets in the ring, and before he signs the contract, he's like flipping through the pages, and it feels like he's looking for something specific. And Roman is just kind of antagonizing him, like, look, we're on TV. You need to speed this up. Go ahead and sign. But he's still looking, and then, Paul Heyman comes over to him. He gets on his knees beside him. He's like, look, it's in there. And he points it out to him. And we find out that this match is going to be the main event at WrestleMania. And CM Punk, he gets emotional. And you can tell this means a lot to him. His eyes start watering up. And he says how, he's worked for this for over 10 years, even before he left. This is what he's always wanted. He wanted to be like the main guy, one of the top guys, the person who mains events WrestleMania. And so he's emotional, and Seth Rollins obviously is pissed. He's saying that CM Punk doesn't deserve this, that, he abandoned the company, that he's a snake, and that he shouldn't be getting this opportunity. And Roman is just kind of taking it all astride. And he's like, look, you shouldn't thank the fans or the people. You should be thanking me, your tribal chief. And to his credit, CM Punk, he thanks him and he says, I thank you, my tribal chief. And then he says, this is the favor that I was owed. And so that's how SmackDown ends. And so I do think it's interesting that they decided to put this match as the main event at WrestleMania. Not that it's unheard of to have a match that's not a title match as the main event. We've had that before in years past where you have like a match that has like a lot of fan interest and just a lot of interest in general be the main event, even though there's not a title on the line, but there's still like a lot at stake. And especially with like 3 wrestlers like this, where they're at like the height of their popularity and you have a lot of fan interest. I can see why they decided to go that route. And, John Cena, he's main evented a number of WrestleManias, and Cody Rhodes, he got to main event WrestleMania the past 2 years, so I can see why they wanted to kind of give CM Punk this honor. One of the things that he said that he came back to WWE for. So the fact that he'll get to close out the show as a main eventer, you can see it meant a lot to him. And I do think it's pretty cool that they're going this route. And I was actually thinking that before the show, that maybe that they would kind of go with the triple threat as the main event. So it was cool to see that they're going to get that opportunity. And overall, I do think this SmackDown was a better show than last week's. I give it a 3.5 out of 5. It had some solid matches. You had some of the younger stars really show up and look good tonight. And thankfully, they gave us like a lot of matches in a row. and kind of broke up the flow of the show where you had more wrestling matches, back to back to back, instead of kind of losing momentum with a bunch of promos in between. So I like how they structured the show this week. I think it was a little bit better. There's still room for improvement. We still can get longer matches. I'm always going to harp on that fact. But we did get a lot tonight, and then I am excited to see this triple threat be the main event. So solid night for SmackDown, 3.5 out of 5. Let's check it out next week and see what we think.